The Six Nations is delivering once more another mouth-watering weekend that's just gone with those results. Ireland just getting that job done against Italy, Scotland with the Calcutta Cup, massive win against England, and then France running away with it against Wales. There's still so much more to come, but in this video, I wanted to dive into the fly halves. Why is the fly half so important? The number 10s in the Six Nations are key players, but who is the best and why? As a former fly half myself, I want to give my opinion and then also ask the question to you guys. So join along. Let's find out the number 10s in the Six Nations. Thank you so much for watching this video with myself, Will Hooley, on the Will Hooley channel. And I know everyone says this, but honestly, your support means a lot. So please, this is a new channel for me, new venture. Hit that like button, that subscription button, subscribe button, I should say, and then also the notification bell. Use the link, go and share it with your friends, drop a comment in to share with me. You probably won't agree with me, you might agree with me, doesn't matter. I appreciate all your support, so thank you for joining along. Let's get into it and these fly halves in the Six Nations. So I'm going to start with the two fly halves that have probably been making the headlines recently, not necessarily for the best reasons, and it actually made me question what people are thinking about. In particular, this man here for England, George Ford. He's going to be starting again at the weekend. If you're watching this before the Ireland game, the team has just come out. And I was just amazed. Put a tweet out about the question mark as to why there were so many negative comments after that loss to Scotland when, in my opinion, George Ford has been one of England's star players over the last 12 months. And actually his kicking ability, his drop goal ability has enabled England to get some incredible performances and wins. Let's not forget, of course, back in November, the win against the All Blacks at the Allianz Stadium in Twickenham. I just think personally, I've played against George Ford both in the Premiership and then internationally. My accent, for those who don't know me, you're going to be thinking, how on earth are you American? But yes, I represent the US. And you're also going to say, I don't want to hear a comparison about George Ford playing against the US compared to when he played against, a tier one team. But what I would say about George Ford is, from personal experience, his knowledge of the game, I should say, and his kicking ability, finding space, using it as an attacking weapon, using it as just a scoreboard accumulator is just devastating. And it has been devastating for England in previous, as I've already mentioned. Did he have his best game against Scotland? I wouldn't say he did. No, but do I also think that drop goal was the reason that England lost the game? Was he the reason England lost the game? Absolutely not. And I honestly, please drop a comment in below if you think otherwise. I know there's some great players out there. Finn Smith, of course. Marcus Smith, of course. Those are the two names that come to mind when you think of this England team and the other fly half options. But for me, I think George Ford has a complete package also because it's like having another coach on the field. And hearing from guys inside the camp, ones who I know, he has so much respect. Over 100 caps for England. It's the fact that he has the game management ability. He showed that against Wales in a brilliant game. And again, a lot of people are going to go, well, that was against Wales. This was a way harder game against Scotland in Murrayfield. And look, I understand that. I just think one poor-ish, wasn't even that poor, performance against Scotland should not just get him out of the 10 jersey. I can see Steve Borthwick very much putting him in charge for the rest of Six Nations. I question it's who's underneath him in the substitute bench who can maybe bring that impact. Probably someone like Marcus Smith. He's that X factor who can come on late maybe in a game if they are chasing it England. And then obviously as well, he can cover a different position. But for me, George Ford is still the man for England. And I see that, as I say, not just in his performances was he shown, but also off the field as well. The work that he does with Blackett, who's the attack coach of England, again, it's something which I don't think maybe completely everyone understands, just how good that relationship is with George Ford, being that, as I say, player coach for the team in general. And I do think he is a general, and I do think he's England's general for the rest of the Six Nations. Moving into another fly half who's maybe making the wrong headlines at the moment, certainly in Ireland, which again, I do think is a little bit unfair, is this young Sam Prendergast. And also, I've also put this image up because I know the under person of him at the moment is Jack Crowley. Irish fans want to hear what your honest thoughts are. My opinion on Prendergast is he has an X factor ability at the gain line and also an ability in his attacking game, whether that's through his kicking, his offloading, that brilliant try he set up. I know it was late on in that game against France, but that work that he could just do at the line, hold that pass, and then just late give it. As a fly half, that is such a, I guess, kind of like taken for granted skill maybe as a supporter that you just watch. It's not. It's a tough skill to have. And he's got that in abundance. I actually think he's a confident player. And yes, his negatives at the moment around his defense, and I would say understandable. It's not something which is definitely shining him in good light at the moment. And when you think of Ireland in the past, like Johnny Sexton as a fly half had always been pretty upfront, maybe even quite literally a bit upright in his tackling, which made him have a few head injuries, but defensively it wasn't so much of a weakness for Ireland. Meanwhile, when Prendergast is playing, that is where I can see maybe the Irish supporters getting a little bit frustrated. But my opinion on him is he's still so young. And whilst I know Ireland are wanting answers very quickly, that 10 jersey, there's so much attachment to it. And to be honest, as a player, I feel for Sam Prendergast because there's so much on him to be good in that jersey. When you look at the likes of Johnny Sexton, Ronan O'Gara before that, it has such an expectation. And I would say for Ireland fans, I guess their patience is maybe wearing thin because they just expect their number 10 to be, frankly, one of the best in the Six Nations. Jack Crowley is a really good operator. I'm no doubt about that, and kept a close eye on him now for a while and certainly has a pretty all-round game. My question mark, though, for Irish fans, and then when you're thinking about number 10s does Jack Crowley have the attacking ability, the attacking X factor that someone like Sam Prendergast does bring? In my opinion, I'm not sure he does. So therefore, do you take Sam Prendergast, who's not a good defender but has the X factor, or Jack Crowley, who is a really solid overall player? Like I say, I'm not going to pretend I'm an Irish rugby expert here. Please drop a comment below as to your honest thoughts, because I know how important this position is to Ireland. I also, by the way, do not think it's the reason Ireland are not doing as well as they maybe have done over previous years. I think we have still obviously yet to see the best of Prendergast in the 10 jersey for Ireland, but I still think he is the man to continue going through the Six Nations. Now I want to get into, in my opinion, who are the best two fly halves of the Six Nations. And this guy in Matthieu Jalibert is finally getting his... I say finally because actually, now thinking about it, he has had chances in the French jersey before and started at World Cups. But it feels like this Six Nations, with Unter back out with injury, he really is the man taking France forward. And he is a wonderful attacking player. It definitely helps in the fact that France have had a lot of front foot ball. I mean, the game, that first half against Ireland, they were all on top of that. And then the game against Wales was, well, it was France potentially scoring at their own will at times. And this man in particular, controlling wise, not just in his ability with ball in hand, but also his kicking ability, that setting up of the cross kick for a try. He just looks like someone who has so much confidence. And I honestly think he's the sort of fly half who can just pull out a rabbit from the hat. And by the way, there's another individual I'm about to say in a minute who can also do that. But he is surrounded by really, really good players. And actually moving away from Prendergast and George Ford is looking at maybe why are these fly halves operating so well. Yes, they have a pack of forwards that's going forward very well and whatever it might be, but also the people outside him. And I want to also say about Jalibert is definitely his back three are, I think, one of the reasons that he is cooking, as much as his centre pairing as well. But when you've got the like of Ramos, who's the 15, that also comes in as a playmaker, if you notice how France operate, a lot of the time, Jalibert is finding himself out in the wide channels. Now, when I play number 10, this shows you how I wasn't necessarily all that good, is I did not have the pace a lot of the time to be put in the wide channels to beat players on the outside. Meanwhile, Jalibert is given that opportunity. He doesn't feel like he has to rush into first receiver. He can let Ramos play in that first receiver role, and then he can go find looking for gaps elsewhere because he's got a lot of pace to him. And then he's linking up with the likes of Biabire, who is phenomenal, and then Atasogbe. I mean, look, those two players alone are carving up the Six Nations. They're not even big guys, but yet those wingers are just popping up in the right areas. They're coming off Jalibert's shoulder. It's like Jalibert is having a field day, but he's got the full package. There's no doubt about that. And by the way, also surprisingly good defender. I know he's going to get tested more throughout this tournament, but for me, he is the number one fly half of the Six Nations, but there is someone very much, well, close behind him in a certain Scottish Mr. Finn Russell. Yes, Finn Russell. Now, I ultimately think that it was not Finn Russell's best game against Italy in that horrific conditions, and but his way that he just shows up at Calcutta Cups is just outrageous. He was brilliant last weekend, and going into this weekend and then for the rest of the tournament, I would just he is so key. He really is. If he plays well, then Scotland play well. Now, I hope someone says straight away, well, look, for a fly half, you only get to play well if you're on the front foot a lot of the time. Where's that front foot come? It comes through, obviously, your forward pack, and you're very right about that. But there is something about Finn Russell when his box of tricks are working, that little slap pass assist that he got away for one of Scotland's tries in the first half, that is just skill. You can't teach that. There are so many things that he brings as a threat to his attack, but also to Scotland's attack, whereby, I mean it, when Finn Russell plays well, Scotland win. And I do think going forward, they still are in the hunt to win the Six Nations. It's going to be very interesting. Obviously, the game's coming up. But yeah, Finn Russell still has to be regarded as one of the top 10. If I'd say just behind Jalibert, just because of consistency and performance so far. 2 games. I'm making this video after 2 games. But he is a wonderful, wonderful player to watch. He is helped, though, as well, in my opinion, by Sione Tuipulotu. I mean, the fact that you have the guy next to you, and maybe this is something England certainly didn't have in that Calcutta Cup game, that Sione Tuipulotu just can get over the gain line. He can also step up as another playmaker, and therefore Russell has a leader outside, and Ben White, by the way, also playing incredibly well inside him at 9. How did I even miss the fact? I'm almost annoyed I missed the fact that Jalibert obviously has Dupont inside him at 9. Really important to have quality 9s operating for you, but also the fact that Russell has that ability to just use Tuipulotu whenever he likes to, just take the pressure off him, take it over the gain line. But Tuipulotu's got a way more to his game than just that, by the way. He is, Russell, a joy to watch, but he's helped a lot of the time, yes, by his teammates, but it almost sounds like I'm almost catching my words here. But honestly, when Finn Russell is just cooking with everything around him and he's mixing the game up, he's putting the kicks in and playing with no fear, everyone just comes alive. And that is where Scotland, particularly in their attack, are utterly lethal. And that is why he's still one of the best fly halves in the Six Nations. So finishing off with the 2 nations that I haven't talked about in their fly half is obviously Paolo Garbisi, who I think is being tremendous for Italy. I mean, honestly, again, talk about the rise of Italian rugby, the era that they're in at the moment. I really think this could be a golden era, particularly now for the next maybe 2, potentially even 3 World Cups, just seeing what's coming through with their under-20s as well. He has been brilliant for Italy for so long. And actually, I would say in their performances that have been so good, again, he has been someone who's been so good. Dan Edwards as well is a really interesting one because, again, young and look, Wales, I just want to say to Welsh fans, it was tough watching that game against France. But the one thing I would say is you cannot say there was a lack of effort. I mean, there was so much effort and there was actually plenty of good. It was just the speed of play the French were playing, the counter-attack that they could just bring was just lightning. It was just unbelievable. And then Wales were just making a lot of mistakes. And it's hard because when you're forcing into a game that you're chasing, it's really hard. It's really hard for someone like Edwards to really stand out as a fly half. And I know about it when you're on the back foot and you're trying to do so much. You're trying so hard that actually the harder you try, the worse you become or worse you get. The only thing I would just quickly say about Wales is Jared Evans, I actually thought when he came on in that game against France, I really like his control, his ability at the line. And I think when he's been in a Wales shirt, I don't really know. And again, Wales fans, please, if you're listening to this, I want to understand what what does he need to do more of to maybe get that starting position? And ultimately, is it just because he's maybe not the future of Wales at number 10 going forward? I don't know. But I just feel like there is an experience in him and his playmaking ability. He also looks like that kind of leader whereby, no disrespect to Dan Edwards, obviously cracking player, got a great future, but has he got that leadership ability at 10? I don't know. And maybe I see Jared Evans, because I've seen him in the Premiership and whatever, maybe has that a little bit more and would potentially therefore be Wales's 10. But Garbisi, go back to him, really shrewd operator. And when you think about it in terms of, if they were to lose Paolo Garbisi, then I would say that's where Italy would struggle in this championship more than they have. I mean, they've been brilliant so far. I want them to do well. I want them to get potentially top 3. But I think they lose them. That's how much of an influence he is on the Italians. So, yeah, let me know your thoughts. A quick kind of go through on all those fly halves, who potentially are the ones who are in the bad press at the moment, but I think maybe shouldn't be. Who are the best? And equally, I'm finishing on these guys. I'm not saying the worst at all. But please let me know your thoughts about the fly half. Why is the fly half position so important? There's some massive games coming up. You got England versus Ireland, you got Wales versus Scotland, and then France versus Italy. It's going to be a big one at Allianz Stadium. I mean, England really, well, both teams obviously need to win that. England in particular will want to see a reaction from their last performance against Scotland. For Scotland, I mean, it would be pretty Scottish to go to Wales and then lose. I can't see that happening, though. I think Scotland now, since the game against Italy, that win against England might just ignite them to... No, I don't even want to say it. Like, I think they will win against Wales. I don't want to get too far ahead. And then France versus Italy, really interesting game. If this game was in Rome, I'd have question marks around it. Unfortunately for the Italians, going to France, I'm going to say France to win that. Do join me more for rugby content and other content that I'm going to bring on this channel, Will Hooley channel. Thank you. Like, subscribe, notify, hit the bell, and just, share with your friends. I will predict that what I've said is not completely correct and that you may not agree with, but at the same time, it's an idea why the fly halves are so important, why they're so important to their nations here in the Six Nations, and who, at the moment, is certainly looking like the best number 10.